The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Rev, TGIF.
Well, we got some great information for the people of Fall River and maybe for the city.
Yeah.
The 2019 census had us having 89,541 people in the city of Fall River. Drum roll, please, for the 2020 census. Boom. 94,000 people even. An increase of 4,459 people.
Yes.
But we still didn't make the 100,000 mark.
And I think the demographic is mainly Hispanic.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that we're seeing here, that we have a new demographic in the city. They're moving into the city, which means, again, I don't like to make generalizations, but a lot of these people are, they're not coming in buying $400,000 homes. So
right.
They're coming in here to looking for a new beginning and things like that. They've relocated to Fall River, but it just shows how critical it is for this city to begin to pay attention to the people who live here and are not high income people. And I know our illustrious mayor has promised a big 0.5% decrease in the property taxes.
Yay!
Yeah, well, and so that's nothing more than election politics. You're gonna lop a 0.5% off. That doesn't even absorb the drift in the 2.5 tax base, because remember, all the TIFs and everything else are in that. All the new TIFs, all the old TIFs, they're all in that tax base getting shifted over to the residential taxpayer. Plus, I don't know if you still got that list, but it would be nice if you went over all the new fees they have down at the waterfront. It looks like our new harbor master has not only put reflective trim on his boat and gotten maintenance that we didn't need, and not handle the situation very well. There are all kinds of new fees down there, people. So if you go down there with your dinghy because you want to float around a little bit and try to catch a few toilet paper covered fish out there in the Taunton River, just be prepared to get hit with some new fees.
Well, I don't know how new they are, but I'll tell you right now, just to launch a boat off one of the city's boat ramps, and there are 3, it's $5 a day, non-commercial. If you want to buy a seasonal pass, it's $60. If you want a commercial launch, is $30 a day, and commercial seasonal is $250 a day. Now, mooring fees. We talked about the mooring fees the last show. Mooring fees. Individual non-commercial yearly. Mooring in Battleship Cove, $150. Mooring outside Battleship Cove, $100. Moorings in Watuppa Pond, $50. Commercial or rental moorings yearly, $55. Temporary mooring permit per day, $35. Late fee after March 31st, $50. Moor waiting list, $25. And mooring transfer, $25. So just to get on a waiting list to potentially get a mooring, you got to pay $25.
Well, so you got to. The only place I've ever heard of that stuff happening is at elite golf clubs, where you have to wait on a waiting list and still pay a fee for years, and then you have to pay an initiation fee to get in. But isn't it nice that where sometimes maybe being poor is a benefit? You don't have to get your pocket picked down at the waterfront because you can't afford a boat. And if you can't afford a boat, you don't need to be in Fall River. You can go up, you can go more in Newport or someplace that's got, or down the Cape. So the rich people, again, another thing that doesn't bother the rich people, with a total ignoring the fact that Fall River is not comprised of a lot of rich people. This is not Newton. We do not have $165,000 household income. We have a $34,000. Well, do the math. Okay, we can't even hit the last couple of numbers. 65,000. We're barely halfway to there. So let alone put the one in front of it in 165,000. Maybe that's why Newton's got 10,000 more businesses than Fall River. But I guess our people, I guess our government hasn't figured that out yet. That we have a lot of people who have very, very tight budgets, and now we're on the road to record inflation, and you're getting it eroded from every angle. You're paying more for gas. You're paying more for everything. You can't renovate anything. You can't buy a 2x4. You can't buy anything. The price of houses have gone up a minimum of 40%. Any kind of renovations are astronomical now. But nobody cares. Oh, don't worry, Paul's giving us a 0.5%. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't Jorge Alorza, in a city that's even with our 95,000 is nearly twice as big, didn't he have zero tax increase?
Yes,
Zero.
he did. Zero.
Zero. No tax increase. So I hate to say it, but gotcha. You know, that this 0.5% is, again. But then again, didn't he push a budget down and then talk about increased fees and everything else? So there's kind of like speaking out of both sides of your mouth, or maybe your mouth in another orifice.
And remember, during the campaign, he promised that he wouldn't raise taxes if he had $6 million in the stabilization account. He has $8 million. Oh, wait a minute. Where's that not raising the taxes? You raised them 2.5% this year.
But he's going to give you half off. You still only
that's next year. That's if he gets reelected.
Oh, if he gets reelected.
If he gets reelected.
Well, okay. Well, I guess some of his opponents can promise no tax increase like he did, right?
That's it.
You know, it's always easy to promise in the future. He wasn't going to raise taxes if he had it. Now he's claiming $8 million. Yet the budget, we got so much money that we need to plug the budget up with opera money.
Right.
The structural deficits and the non-funded parts of that budget that he ran through the back door. But we need money to plug a budget. So I don't know. Maybe we should use the $8 million to plug up the budget and use the opera money to help the people of Fall River. But then again, what the hell? You know, I don't have a lot of banker and lawyer friends. Now all of a sudden he's concerned with the regular people. I'm going to give you a 0.5% off. You know, that's like giving a somebody that's dying of thirst on a desert a drop of water. It's like, you know, then and then making them throw it up, because the 0.5% in the face of, look at all the little insidious little things that have done. Now we've got the new parking kiosk, and it costs more to park because, you know, you can't throw quarters in there. There's a minimum.
Yep.
So you can't throw a quarter in it. You're going to run into a store. Bad enough that in some places that actually try to promote businesses have no meter zones to encourage people to come in and park and go do some business. But excuse me. But you know, in the old days, you could pull up to something on South Main Street or any place, you know, throw a quarter in the meter and for 15 minutes and run into the post office and drop a letter off because you didn't want a ticket. Now it's like, go to the kiosk. You got to spend the minimum. So you can't, you know, all those little things eat at the pocketbook. And maybe the rich bankers and the lawyers don't care. They can park their Porsches and their Lamborghinis, you know, wherever they want and get the parking tickets. But the fact is that the average person in Fall River that can barely afford his auto insurance on his 8-year-old Chevy now has to pay more for that. And we have to pay more for virtually everything. But at election year, they're all just one of us. They care about us.
We care.
We care.
We care.
We're all gonna go to heaven.
After all, that is what he wants.
True.
He just wants us all in heaven.
I figure if I go there, I'll have none of my friends. So
yep,
to talk to. But yeah, it's really crazy. We're seeing this paradox, this dichotomy in election seasons. Oh, we got plenty of money, but then in reality, we're plugging up a budget. We got a budget that people could shoot holes in. And maybe at the next council meeting, there'll be a lot of questions about that, using that. And hopefully there will be. But we see all these promises. So the promise, didn't he also promise that the school would be finished on time and under budget?
Yes.
It's not going to be finished on time. It's going to open, and it's only going to be partially finished.
Right.
And it's over.
We're gonna take the keys on an incomplete building.
You're going to take a half a key. You only get a half a key for that. You get half the key. So another promise. And he'll throw up his hands and there's nothing I could do. You know what you can do? You made another promise you didn't keep.
Right.
So here we go. And people get very upset. I was told at a meeting last night by someone who, is someone I know well and a friend, but he has a different political view. And he was told me how he defended me when people were talking extremely harshly about me. And I thanked them for doing it, but I told them it's really not necessary because I don't give two craps what they say to begin with. And secondly, if they want to say it, please come see me and say it to my face. Because anytime I got anything to say, I say it to your face. I say it to the camera. I'll say it to a microphone, and I'll write it on the side of a building.
You have no problem expressing your opinion.
Absolutely no problem. If I think you're an a-hole, I'm going to tell you you're an a-hole. So extend me the same courtesy. Come on up. Come on down.
You're the next contestant on the Chip Kamara Show.
That's it. So, look, if you and I were worried about people calling us names, we wouldn't have been on for 8 years doing this. So I just found it, I had to get that in because I just found it really, really funny that, he made it a point to tell me that he had defended me. And, I appreciate it, but it's not necessary. Please don't get yourself in trouble with your friends because you actually say that I have done some good somewhere, because that's the things those are the things that they like to ignore. So,
yeah, God forbid they acknowledge anything good you've done, as we know. It doesn't make for good news. That's for sure. So, you mentioned Newton, so I have to because we mentioned Newton a lot. Newton went from 88,414 people to 88,293. They gained 509 people. It looks like the majority of places in the Fall River area, or I should say in Massachusetts, gained population. Plymouth lost 311 people. Weymouth lost 309 people. Framingham lost 2,054 people. And Boston lost 16,953 people. They all moved to Fall River.
Yeah. Well, either that or they dropped them off from the border.
Yeah.
Remember, they did say they dropped off a whole bunch of illegals in Massachusetts. Massachusetts was one of the states they relocated them to.
Right.
So, and we don't really know that. And so we don't know. But listen, the fact is the people that have relocated here are not, Newton's a great example. They have very little increase or decrease in their population. It's fairly stable. It's an extremely rich community. There are not there are not rows and rows of 3-deckers in Newton. I don't know if you've ever been to Newton, but there aren't. Extremely affluent community. And if you're going to move to Newton and buy a single family house, you got to have some serious cash. You've got to you've got to have a really, really good job and a high income, because that's what 75% of I'm talking, last time I looked at the stats, 75% of the people in Newton had at least a bachelor's degree. Their annual income was 165 grand. And so if you're going to move to Newton, you don't see a lot of people that are moving to Fall River, moving to Newton, because most of the people that are moving to Fall River are moving into apartments or public housing, and which is, fine. They're people. And the thing is, but therein lies the rub. And somebody said, I can always tell you wrote something because you used sometimes some lines from Shakespeare. So, I happen to like the guy. He was one of the greatest, most prolific writers in history. So, but the reality is, this is what disturbs me when we sit here and talk about this BS that these politicians throw around, this pie in the sky thing, talking about my banker friends and my lawyer friends, when this city is inhabited for the majority by people of the lower middle class and below. 23% in one study, United States Census Bureau, and 19% in another study, we rounded off to 20, 19 point something or other, and 23 point something or other, nearly 25. Nearly a quarter of the population is living below the poverty level, and the rest of them aren't doing much better. And now when we get people that just throw around pay raises that exceed ordinances and then talk about, I'm going to save you a 0.5%, that is disingenuous at best, in my opinion.
Really? I'm sorry I got called away.
No, I did too. I'm getting the same thing, I think.
A message had to go out do our live feed.
Okay.
But I'm trying to keep my eyes on everything as it's moving around. It's so many moving parts. I just found it interesting. So obviously all the people didn't leave Boston and come to Fall River, obviously, but we obviously did get an increase of 4,459 people. I think that may even still be a little low. Yeah. But remember, we don't get more federal money until we hit 100,000 people. And New Bedford did that with 101,079. So they'll be flush with cash again with some more money, which Fall River will not have, sadly enough. But hey, we tried. Hopefully, people are coming to Fall River like they went to New Bedford, and 5,000 people, 5,700 people went to New Bedford. Are coming here because of the quote unquote low rents, which 2 administrations now have worked to destroy the rental prices in Fall River with market rate housing.
Yeah. And CJ, you're right. Now, you know what they're going to do? Oh, Fall River's on a rise. They're coming in. They're coming in by the droves. Really? Did anybody do a study of the average income of those people? And do they have the money to go and do a lot of discretionary shopping? I would say, I'll take a bet. I'm a bet man, but I'll bet you the vast majority, at least more than 50%, do not have that kind of money. They're living on fairly low incomes. That's why they're here. They moved from Boston to Fall River and from other areas to Fall River because we have historically lower rents. And that's not going to be true later. So again, it shows where the focus of our government should be, not on, throwing out pay raises and increasing fees every year, but holding down taxes and trying to put money back in the pocket of people, educating people, try to work to get people jobs like Raimondo did in Electric Boat. We've had BCTC here for like a zillion years, and what have they accomplished? Absolutely, virtually zero. So, although Germany has done it for 50 years or better than 50 years, they have had an apprenticeship program that is second to none. They are the world leader in that program, and but we don't learn anything from anybody. So it's election year, and everything's going to be hunky dory. We're throwing money at here's your 0.5%. Shut up. I'm keeping my promise. Oh, wait a minute. I said no taxes. Oh,
now here's something that goes along with with what you just said. Yesterday, the Baker-Polito administration announced new federal grants for Massachusetts apprenticeships, promoting further job training investments. $4 million available. Are we going to get a piece of that? Is BCTC going to get a piece of that? I mean, they don't do anything as it is. So, and they haven't for numerous decades, it seems. I mean, they used to do stuff in the summer with kids. I don't know if they're doing stuff with kids now. I do know that for a while there, they were sending everybody to nurses' aid school, swamping the market, but we still don't have enough. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. But remember, BCTC has been the land where people go to die. Okay,
not show up for work.
Yep, you don't have to show up for work. You don't have to do anything. You're just there. Perfect identification. Phil Camara, no experience, no nothing. Got a job there, made big money.
What, 6 or 8 year gap in employment? Yeah,
with an 8 year gap in employment, and it took an interim mayor to turn around and say, look, you need to go. You're not qualified, and you're part of a crime spree. You got to go. Bye-bye. So an interim mayor took the leadership and said, no, we cannot have this in Fall River. And you can't blame him. You can't blame him. He held people accountable, and he made sure that we, the people, were protected.
Oh, he did. And, it only took the Polito, Tall Duvall administration 50 years to catch up with Germany. But I'm going to tell you right now, apprenticeship programs don't work unless they're structured the way Germany's is. I ran into a guy at Dunkin' Donuts. We were talking about the apprenticeship. I was talking about the apprenticeship program to somebody a year or so ago, and there was a guy having a cup of coffee, and he looked at me and said, oh, he says, I'm a product of that. I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, I went through I'm a machinist. I work for a German company. The German company is now building a plant in the United States, and I'm here to set up the machine shop at the plant. So, but that's the key. The key in Germany's apprenticeship program, it is intertwined with the businesses and the educational system. They don't just have an apprenticeship program and tell people, well, pick from the menu. What they do is they know what the job market is out there, where there are, and they test these people for aptitudes, and then they give them the training, and it's coordinated with these businesses. And sometimes they do their apprenticeship program. They get trained, and then they go into the business to work as apprentices, and it works, and it has worked for a half a century or more. But don't worry, we'll screw it up. Even if we try it, we'll screw it up because we're not going to do the whole thing. We're only going to wave the flag for a little while in an election year, and then when it's done, everybody will forget about it. They'll like, okay, in a rearview mirror, like, I'm not going to raise taxes if I got $6 million, but I got 8, and I'm only going to drop a 0.5%. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, how much will a 0.5%? And remember, even though they say, your taxes only go up 2.5%, you and I know that they go up more than that. We've seen it. We've calculated it. We know it goes up more than that. Why? Because the law is faulty in the fact that they allow new development or new expansions to come in and be included in the tax base, and then the 2.5% is applied to that new tax base amount. Maybe if that 2.5% was limited to each individual tax bill, people would see a difference.
Yeah, you're right.
And the cities and towns would have to work within their budgets.
And let's be very, very clear about that. We did actually the numbers when we were when we were standing on the opposite side of Paul Coogan on a debt override,
Right.
not against education, but on the debt override. And we did a study, and we had some years where the thing actually went up in the double digits.
That's right.
From the previous year's cost. But it's 2.5% of the base. And they keep putting in TIFs and other things into the base. So your taxes go up 2.5%. But it's like saying, what's 2.5% of a dollar? It's 2.5 cents.
Right.
Well, what's 2.5 of $100? Right? It's $2.50, right? So it's like it's a larger amount. 2.5 that's a typical government con. And just for the sake of, I think you got a text. I just got a text from one of our viewers and said that these fees are set by the state. And if that is the case, well, we'll correct that and say it's set by the state. So let's warn all our people that these. Well, I'm sure they already know they exist. But frankly, I've never seen them collected. I've seen boats being launched. And I've never seen anybody, and I don't think everybody with a boat has a yearly pass.
Right, and I'm not sure that all those fees are set by the state. The mooring fees might be set by the state, but the launch fees are set by the city because the city used to never collect them. Then the state turned around and dumped some money into the boat ramps, like down at Days Beach, down at Bicentennial Park, and at Cook Pond, and all of a sudden there's now a launch fee. And that's why they put the boxes up where you put the money in an envelope and put it in a box.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put a kiosk down there for you to get it now. I don't know. I'm
just wondering where the enforcement would be to collect these fees if you don't have an annual fee. I don't see environmental police hanging around at every boat ramp.
Right.
And I don't know. But hey, we know that fees and taxes are going up and nobody cares, but they pretend they care. And it's an election year. Everybody cares now. They care till after the election. And after the election, remember, you're only going to get 0.5%.
If he gets reelected.
If he gets reelected. But he also promised to give you a no tax increase. But
if he got elected.
So
remember, that tells you exactly how likely you're going to get it.
Calling out to all his opponents. Call his 0.5% and raise him a full percent.
But if you do that, you better do it. If
you got to do it because you're going to get kicked out in 2 years, just like he should be. But this has become almost comical. I mean, that this campaign, we haven't seen any issues yet. We haven't seen any plans, and somebody better come out with them very, very soon. And I think there will be at least something coming out very shortly about an actual structured plan. And there should be, because I'll tell you what, they can all run on they're not Jazel Correa. Maybe some of them can't run that they're not thieves. I don't know their background. Maybe some of them are. But they at least got half of the platform that he runs on.
All right, we're just about out of time, so I want to get this out. The ARPA meeting that they had on Wednesday was a joke. I think there was maybe 5 people that were there, and Mary Sahadi wasn't prepared. Does that surprise you?
Well, that's incredibly hard to believe.
This is why I say to all the city councilors, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again on the air. Anytime any member of the administration, Mary Sahadi, Tim McCoy, whoever, says, I do not have information, I am not prepared for that question, turn around and say, I move for a recess until such time as the chief financial officer or the city administrator can get their act together and get the information to us and go into recess. If you stop putting them on the spot, they'll stop performing. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's going to be hot today. Stay cool. And remember, this is your weekend. Enjoy it. But come Monday, you never know what's going to happen. Hey, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.
Stay hydrated.
Have a wonderful week.